Hello.
Oh no, someone hit my phone.
Dave, can you introduce yourself for the folks at home?
Yes, I'm Dave Hadden, and I am the founder of Orthane Productions and the author of The World of Orthane and the campaign setting for that, which is the Kingdom of Keshanar. And here we are at the 50th anniversary of the creation of Dungeons & Dragons. And we just finished up the Founders and Legends Conference and Gary Con. So basically what Keshanar is ancient Egypt if the magic, the gods, and the monsters were real 3,000 years later. Like, what would that look like? What would that feel like? I came up with the original idea in high school and started developing it then just as a homebrew. And then I just developed it as my homebrew for decades. And then in the last 10 years, we started running it seriously. And it takes 2 years. It's a 1 through 20 campaign with whatever rule system happened to be the current D&D rule system at the time. As a homebrew, I wanted to come up with a map. So I looked around and I found an ancient map of Jerusalem. It was an etching that was really high resolution. And I just photoshopped that to make it look like my city because it kind of had similar features that I was looking for. But then when I decided to publish it, I'm like, well, I can't use that. So I went out and I found an artist to redo the map, and I was never really happy with the maps they produced. And that same artist suggested that I just build it in 3D then in Blender. And so without realizing what I was getting ready to bite off, I agreed. And we spent 3 years developing the entire city in Blender. The whole purpose of it was really just to create art from it so that we could take screenshots and have of the various sections of the city, which we call calderas, and there's like Troll Town and the Palace District and the Garden District and all the different cities and all the different plot hooks and sub-adventures that can happen in each of these different sections of the city. But then when we were finished with it, we're like, gosh, we have this whole thing in 3D and we spent 3 years doing it, and we really should it'd be a shame if people can't actually run around in it. So without the intention of making it a video game, this is not a video game, why not make the map for your tabletop role-playing game actually a 3D interactive thing that you can move around in? So we threw away the Blender model completely and rebuilt the entire thing in Unreal Engine.
One thing I was really impressed with, and as Keshanar's been developed here, is just the breadth of information available. This is one of those things where I was able to go away from your original vision of something and take Keshanar and take my little part of it and make it my own, which is something you always want as a DM.
It's critical. You talked about having all these assets, and here we'll show some clips of it, like fly-throughs of the city, and like this map here, the map of the arena. So we have animations and screenshots and really cool interactive maps, which are the exact shot from the world. All the art in the campaign is 100% human-made. We have no AI.
Humanoid, at least.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a tiefling involved.
Yes.
Probably 20 people or 30 people that have been involved in producing some piece of this. There's programmers, there's Unreal developers, probably at least a dozen artists. I've got editors, and I've got contributing authors, and we're writing fan fiction right now. So I've got people that are writing fan fiction or stories based on the lore. There's a lot of potential stranded players all over the world that would love to get into a game. And a lot of these folks that I've interacted with to help build this, when I ask them, have you ever heard of Dungeons & Dragons or played Dungeons & Dragons? They say, well, I've always wanted to, but I don't know how to get into a game. VTT is how you get into that game. Talk to anybody who's discovered Dungeons & Dragons, and they'll tell you that it's made them happier, right? And that's something that needs to be shared, with everybody. I mean, it's also so accessible to be able to play the game. It doesn't take much. It takes a couple of dice and some graph paper and a pencil. That's it. And a rule book.